Dear students, welcome to the knowledge series. Here we are going to discuss on real-time operating systems. What exactly the real-time operating systems means? A real-time operating systems, as the term, it is operating systems that intend to serve real-time applications where the process that comes for the executions it will not have any much delay, or without much buffer delay the system will try to, or the CPU will try to execute the process. The real-time operating system is basically used for the various applications such as robotics, for various military applications. For example, even for example, like in the complex or in the cameras, we are operating these real-time operating systems. To know about this real-time more, so let us see this particular figure and try to understand what exactly the real-time operating system is. Now, in this figure, you can try to see this one that we talk about sensors and an actuator. So sensor is something that measures the physical parameters or the environmental parameter where it is operating. That is the sensor. And actuator is one thing is that is going to give the response. So if you talk about a temperature sensor, temperature to measure a temperature, so the temperature sensor is the one which will measure the input parameters, that is the amount of temperature that exists in that particular ambient. And the actuator is just like if you want to switch on the fan or switch on the AC according, or to switch on the compressor accordingly. So that is what we termed is as an actuators. So here the sensor is put under the operating environment, and the actuator is nothing but a controlling systems. So here we put as sensor and actuator is nothing but a part of the control systems. So that is what we see here in this systems. So if you take a sample of a real-time systems, a real-time system is that system based on the variation in the sensor. If the actuator also need to vary accordingly and not after a time delay, then we termed it as a real-time systems. Or at that particular instance, whatever how the system is changing, that means how the input system is changing, the output system should also vary accordingly. So that we put under the real-time systems configurations. So here in the real-time systems example, you can what we have seen is that there is a control system is that is digital control systems that periodically perform the various jobs. What are the jobs? It senses the operating environment status, and according to that status, it gives that information to the controlling systems to actuate according to the control status that has been sensed by the sensor and shared to the control systems. So the computational sensor is based is something like a proportional information transfer between the sensor and the actuators. So this is what we term it as a real-time systems with respect to the figure that has been shown. Take for example, if you want to lift a water from the well, and you want that the tank should be filled to a certain level always, even if the water decrease by a few levels, then you will see that based on the level change, immediately the system will try to deliver that water into the tank based on the motor motor, that is an actuator, is going to respond. So that is what a simple form of a system we take into consideration. If you want to put that one into a real time, then we have to see that the tank should be continuously filled up. There will not be any delay. So that's why continuous transfer of the well, that tank should be made the motor to work and based on the level controller signals. Now we go to the another slides with respect to the real-time systems. Now when we see a real-time system, here what it is being termed as, a system is said to be a real-time if it is required to complete its work and deliver its service on time. That is very important, this on time, because in a given time the system should be able to respond. So that is like a flight control system. All tasks in that system must be executed on a given time. Say flight takeoff, flight landing, every control action should operate at an appropriate interval. So that is known as a real-time system. PC system does not put under the real time, because you can switch on the system. It will take a time to boot up, and after that it will pop up and show a particular window. It is not that every time it will be giving in that particular interval. So it is not coming under the class of a real-time system. Here some of the term we have put across. So let's start with a term like we are talking about the real-time operating systems. So with respect to the real-time operating systems, basically such operating system it is intended to serve real-time applications where it can process the data as it try to see it in that particular input mode, or we can say that as it come in, typically without any buffering delays. So that is the real-time operating system. You don't expect any delays, and processing time requirement are measured even it is tenth of second. So that means in a shortest interval of a time, the operating system, real-time operating system, can process it. And they are either event driven or in the time sharing mode. So that is how the real-time operating systems try to see the modes. If we talk about event driven systems, in that case it switch between the task based on their priorities as well as time sharing switch of the task. So that is what event driven and the time sharing both are two different types. So in the time event driven, it is basically a task based, and when we talk about time sharing, it is based on the also a task based, but event case it will be a priority based. But in the task time sharing case, it will be based on the clock interrupts. So that is known as the two modes of the real-time operating systems configurations. Now when we talk about a real-time clock, clock here is a computer clock that keeps the track of the current times, and such terms is being used in the electronic devices to keep the time accurate for the real-time process to execute. The next is the real-time computing. So when you talk about a real-time computing or a reactive computing, it talks with respect to the hardware and the software systems. And in the real-time computing systems, real-time programs that guarantees the deadlines. So that's why in a real-time situations, it tries to understand the time in terms of millisecond, even microseconds. So that up to that extent, the real-time system try to account for the system's variation or the system trigger or the system response to take place. Now coming to the time real-time transcriptions. Real-time transcriptions, it talks with respect to the delivery of the particular informations or the particular instructions in a predefined time frames. Or for example, let's take on a computer screen, you want to display a certain parameters on a screen. In a real-time transcriptions, if that particular screen figure has to display, if it is not instant, or rather the pixel is delivering at a slower pace, you will find the actual figure appears after a certain time. So the prediction will take a delay. So that's why real-time transcriptions should take place an instance. So that is what here it indicates. Another, it talks about the real-time locating systems. This is to automatically identify and track the locations of the object with respect to the real-time scenario. So this is a real-time operating system, not locating operating system, that I have talked earlier. So this is what we talked about the real-time systems. Now we go to the another presentations with respect to the real-time operating characteristics. So here the processing must be done with within a time constraints, and the system or the system will fail. That means if you take an example, you want automatic driverless car and you are giving a brake, and if the time is delayed, automatically what will happen? The braking action will be also delayed. So the system will fail. So what you want at a given instant the braking or as per the braking time instance, the brake should take place, or so that the system will be foolproof. So that's what it means with respect to the time constraints. All delay in the systems will be bounded from the retrieval of a stored data to the time RTOs finish the request. So all delay in the systems will be bounded from the retrieval of a stored data to the time RTOs finishes the request. So that is in a time bound in the, whatever the RTOs request is being energized or activated. Within that time, the system should able to execute the response. So here we try to see that when you talk about a characteristic of a RTO system, it should be reliable. Reliability should be there. The system should be able to predict on this particular instant that things is going to happen. The performance of the system should not fail. It should be strong enough to respond in an appropriate manner, and the RTO system should be scalable to a large number of networks. So if a large number of process or the other interface devices is connected, RTO should be able to give a similar reliability, predictability, performance, and above all compactness. The system should be compact so that it can be fit to various application in a convenient manner. Now we come to the another two terminology. This is very important about the real-time operating systems. We define as a hard and a soft real-time operating systems. Now we see the hard real-time operating systems. Actually, hard real-time operating systems has a time-critical deadlines. This is very important term. That is a time-critical deadline that must be met. So otherwise, what will happen? A catastrophic system failure may occur. That's why here failure to meet the deadline is fatal. So that's why here I say the catastrophic system failure can occur if the system critical deadline is not met. So another thing is that if you when we talk about a hard real-time operating system, it need to verify and guarantee that the hard deadlines is met in appropriate time or not. So for example, you take a flight control systems or that is in the flight control systems, the appropriate landing, appropriate takeoff, all these things is a part of the hardline system, or a nuclear power plant control. It is a hard real-time systems. There should not be any lag, or there should not be any delay in that particular control actions. So this is what means about the hard real-time systems. On the other hand, when we talk about the soft real-time systems, in this particular system, it is considered undesirable, but not catastrophic as compared to the hard real-time systems, if the deadlines are occasionally missed. So that is what the term is the soft. So a slackness we look into this as compared to the hard real-time systems. So most of the modern operating systems can serve based on the soft real-time systems. So that is what been termed with respect to the soft real-time systems. So here considered undesirable but not catastrophic. That is what I mean, that such type of deadlines can occasionally missed or fails. System performance degrade or miss deadlines. That is what exactly means. Example, multimedia transmissions and receptions, or a networking telecom networking, websites, or a computer games. All these are nothing but a soft real-time system where the failure will not be a catastrophic. Now coming to the another slide figure of one table is been shown about the characteristic of a hard real and the soft real time. You can see the response time in the hard real time is hard required. It is must. It is soft desired. Now peak load performance, in this case we can able to predict, but predictable. That means you should be sure that that is going to occur. But here you cannot anticipate. It is just like a degraded way. It can vary. Control of pace, it is an environmental control, and it is a computer system control. Here when we talk about it, does not mean the computer is not there, but based on the environmental factor, the condition is being considered as the hard real-time condition. Size of safety, it is in this case it is very critical, often critical. Here it is less non-critical or less critical in the soft real-time. Size of data, in the case of a hard real-time, is always small, whereas in the soft is always large. A redundancy, it is in this case is a active, it is a checkpoint recovery in this case. So that is what we call as a redundancy repeatedness type. Data integrity, here it is a short-term integrity, here it is a long-term data integrity. Error detection, it is autonomous, and usually in this case soft real time, so it is user assisted. So that is how the error detections part is being considered. So that is what we define or distinguish between the hard real time and as well as soft real time. Now we go to the another area is about the standard RTOS. RTOS standards we talk with respect to the asynchronous, it needs asynchronous input semaphore. We will talk about this particular term of the semaphore. Basically it is used for the signaling purpose with respect to the various process. Message queue, it is the standard of the RTOS. Queued signal, so that is a part of the semaphore. I am stated. The process should have a schedules, and there should be clocks and a timer, memory management. All these things is the standard for the RTOS. And the RTOS and the RTOS real-time operating system and a simple conventional or a standard operating system difference is that it talks with respect to the deterministic timing behavior. In the RTOS, it is a deterministic timing behavior, whereas in the operating system, it is a non-deterministic timing behavior. And they are suitable for the embedded. solutions. Now let us see this particular figure with respect to the characteristics of the operating systems. Now when we see the characteristic of operating system, as it is stated, the device drivers often not integrated into kernels. In the case of the embedded operating system, see, kernel is separate part and the device driver is part. So kernel is the central part of the operating systems. So device driver is kept independently. Device driver and the operating systems, they are communicating each other, but they are not integrated as a part of the operating systems. Embedded systems often application specific. I am talking about this particular embedded system is also basically application specific. So that's why you can find that device driver and the various device drivers which is there, it is being kept separately as compared to the kernel. And a specific move and move device to the operating system to task. That means if a particular application software is running related to a particular device driver, so the middleware it tried to interface the application software with the device drivers, and that's how the kernel will able to understand the need of this device driver based on the given particular process. Accordingly, it will try to respond. Now, when you talk about a desktop's case, here you try to see that the device standard OS will have a device driver and the with the part of the operating system. So desktop operating system, many devices implicitly assumed like a disk control or network control, audio control, they need to integrate at the lower level stack. So that is what it is being treated in the low level stack conditions with respect to the standard OS. Now when we try to see this particular figure in the embedded operating systems, since it is application oriented, so the size of the files, size of the programs as compared to the standard operating systems, it will be very small. So the kernel size to run that particular process, or the kernel that monitors the all the functionality of the devices with respect to the operating systems, task will be lesser as compared to the standard operating systems. So that's why the number of devices that is being interface with respect to this embedded operating systems, it is being configured in such a way that the it will not load the kernel accordingly, or the operating systems configurations, it will not make it more dense, or I can put it like that, it will not make the operating system to be fatal with respect to the deadline meet if it is not able to perform accordingly. So that's why in the standard operating system that particular situation is not there. So that's why basically when we talk about embedded operating system, we try to look across with respect to the applications where it is running and what is the importance of that particular applications. Now another characteristics of the real-time operating systems here is that many embedded systems are real-time systems, and hence the operating system used in this system might be real-time operating systems, RTOs. So here when we talk about an embedded system, it is itself is a real-time systems, and the OS used in this particular case is also a real-time operating systems. Now come to the let us see the certain features of the operating systems. What are the features of the operating system? Is that the feature of the operating systems here, it shows with respect to the multitasking, scheduling, it allows multitasking, scheduling of the task with priorities. That is very important in the case of RTS. You can RTS cannot do a parallel processing at just like the desktop scenario. Synchronizations of the resources access. So there should be appropriate synchronizations for the resource access. Inter-task communications should happen in a proper order. That is another very important case with respect to the RTOS. Time predictor table. If it is hard real-time operating system, so the system should be able to predict at what instant that particular operation is going to execute. It should be able to handle the interrupt. So that's why interrupt handling should also be there in a effective manners in the for the RTOS, whether RTOS operate that particular system in a which particular mode or for which applications. That's why the interrupt handling is very important parameters with respect to the real-time operating systems characteristics. So these these features is switch that real-time operating system task based on the whether it is a simple applications or whether it is a multiple applications. Based on this, we go to the next, the requirement of a RTOS. So when we talk about a requirement of a RTOS, the requirement of a RTOS is being shown with respect to the predictability of a timing. That is one important area. Another, operating system should try to manage the time and the scheduling and the speed and the networking, programming, etc. So that is the another segment. The speed at which the systems can able to perform, how the system can able to operate, how the networking is being carried out for the RTOS, what are the different type of a programming, whether it is C programming or a Java programming or assembly programming that is being used for the RTOS. So that is what we talk with respect to the requirement. Now here when we talk about the predictability, one important thing is that the time behavior of the operating systems should able to analyze. Another point is that when we talk about the scheduling policies, it should be deterministic, and the period during the interrupt are disabled in a short interval of times. And another point is that the speed operating system should be make the system to perform at a faster speed. So the networking, as it should be able to fit to the various environment. Like suppose if you are using a networking with respect to a different configuration, say wired network, wireless network, or any other system that is being interlinked with that particular RTOS systems, that should be properly configured. So that's why networking is another important area. And finally, the programming. Now we go to the RTOS kernel. We have talked about the kernel. Kernel is nothing but the central part of the operating systems. Now RTOS kernel it provides an abstraction layer that hides your applications, software, the hardware, detail of the process, set of process upon which the application software shall run. So RTOS is nothing but an interface between the application software and the hardware. So here the RTOS is behaving exactly like operating systems, but here the hardware and the software, it is specifically for the particular applications. So that is what exactly means here with respect to the RTOS applications. Now to understand this one more, let us see this particular case on the RTOS functionality, RTOS kernel functionality. Now here the first is nothing but a task management. The responsibility of the task management is to include the scheduling of the multiple tasks. That is what does in this case of a task management systems. Now coming to the task synchronizations. See, in the case of a RTOS intertask messaging or a synchronization, there is necessary communications between the task of one system to another system should happen in a proper way, and that is possible when there is a event take place from a one systems to another systems. Say a file has to transfer from one system A to B. So for that case, we can put like an event is taking place and a file is transferring from A to B. So event flag can be used for the synchronization, and these are nothing but internal activities for each messages that is being queued for the transfer. So that is what we call as what a task synchronizations. Another point is the task scheduling. So here I have stated the scheduling should be done in an appropriate manner so that a proper synchronization should also take place. So that's why scheduling is of every process activities should be planned without creating a load on the CPU for the executions. Interrupt handling. So interrupt handling in RTOS is based on the environmental call or ISR should have a high priority as compared to the operating functions. So interrupt handling priority on the operating systems, once you consider, it will not wait for the semaphore, because a semaphore is basically for signaling. So even the ISR does not wait for the semaphore, and that's how even it does not wait under the mutex conditions also, and ISR will run for the systems to see that it change the state. Next is the memory management. Memory management is one of the important subsystems in the operating system for controlling the control systems, and even more in the case, more critical in the RTOS than a standard operating systems. Firstly, the speed of the memory allocations is very important in the case of a RTOS. Now, exception handling. This is exception handling is considered as another very important component. Exception is basically a synchronous event management, and that occurs during the execution of the threads when it disrupts the normal flow of the instructions. So if exceptions are not properly processed during the program executions or even in the system failure, then automatically it will cross the RTOS to fail. So that's why in this case exemptions need to highlight whenever the program executions are is going to delay or the system failures occurs. Exemptions need to highlight the particular event. Thereby it will control the synchronizations, thereby it will able to see the proper scheduling is being maintained. Now we go to the next point of discussions, that is with respect to the RTOS kernel type. Now as you all know that we have seen the different type of discussions of the kernel in the operating systems. Based on that, this RTOS kernel discussion is also coming here. Now in this particular form of a RTOS kernel, you have to understand that there are two type of kernels. One is a monolithic kernels, another is nothing but a micro kernels. And when we talk about a monolithic kernels, here in the bottom side you can try to see that it less runtime overhead is needed in the case of monolithic kernel, but not extensible, whereas microkernel high runtime overhead but highly extensible. So here extensible means you can extend by adding a number of additional functions. Here here you cannot do, but it needs a less time because single address is needed. Here you need a multiple address. So monolithic operating systems and a microcontroller, the upper part is user mode and the central part is nothing but a kernel mode. So this is what we show with respect to the monolithic kernel and the micro kernel. Now we go to the next point is the message passing of the, in RTOS. In the RTOS operating systems, as we can see pointed in the as stated here, in the RTOS, the operating system copies a pointer to the message, deliver the pointer to the message receiver task, and then deletes the copy of the pointer with the message sender task. Now here in the RTOS, the operating system copies the pointer to the message. That means if the message sender want to transmit a particular task to the RTOS for the execution, it sends a message. So the real-time operating system delivers that particular message to the message received task through the message pointer. So once this pointer is received, then this message received task, that one send it to the memory, so that based on that that means after executions whatever is that it is sending to the RAM. At that instant this particular pointer message is being deleted, so that this particular if it is free, then the another information is taken, it is processed and put as a pipeline, but not for a longer period. It will, that next process is put under this particular pointer, and that's how the process will keep on moving. And from RTOS the message can also communicate with the RAM. So this is a message passing in the case of a RTOS scenario. Now we go to the classification of a RTOS kernel. We have seen the RTOS kernel. Now RTOS kernel classification is given as a fast priority kernels. When we talk about a fast priority kernel, these are the kernel is coming, where we can see the VxWork is there. Fast kernel priority kernel may be inadequate for a complex system because they are designed at a fast rather than to be predictable in every respect. So they proprietary not priority, proprietary kernels. So because this is a proprietary kernels, VxWork everything. So that kernel will able to execute very fast, but it cannot able to predict, cannot able to predictable of that particular executions, but it is faster response. So that is what real-time executions of a standard operating system are real-time kernel runs on all real-time tasks, and standard operating system execute one task on it. So in the fast proprietary system you can see that it can perform the complex task because and that complex task it has to focus for the faster executions. Now we have talked about the general RTOS and the RTOS for a specific domain. General RTOS and the RTOS for a specific domain is that depending upon the what exactly it look for, whether it is looking for the fast operations or whether it is looking for the predictable time frames over which the system is going to need to execute or need to perform. Standard APIs versus proprietary APIs is being given as examples. This is a paid APIs, so that's why POSIX, RT extensions of Unix, ITRON, ITRON, and OSEK. So these are nothing but the sum of the example with respect to standard APIs and a proprietary API. So these are the classification of RTOS. So again, we can see that as we talk about all these kernels, whether it falls under the kernel monolithic or a micro, that is a part of the further execution of the RTOS with respect to the kernel operations. We go to the next area is task scheduling. Now here, what exactly? These are nothing but three states has been shown, and a system task, whether it is a system task or an application task, at any time, each of these tasks exists in a various state or a different states, and these states may be a ready state or running state or a block state. That is what been shown in this particular figure. So in a real-time embedded system, when it runs, each task move from a one state to another, and according to the logical conditions, or according to the logic of the simple finite state machines, these states keeps on changing. So let us see that what exactly these states it indicates. Let's start with the ready state. Now ready state is the basically in this particular state, the task is ready to run, or the new task which is coming, that is ready to run, but cannot have a high priority task in executing. So that's why it will take, it will execute that particular task for the process to move from the ready states to the run state. Now running state is that the task is in the highest priority conditions, and it is being considered for the running state. So the task whichever is on a higher priority, it will be put under the running state. So that's why it is termed as the task in the high priority conditions is put under the running state. And when you talk about a block state, a task in this case is that the task normally request a resources that is not available under that particular situation, then that request has to be wait for a certain event or for a certain time until that event occurs, or it is delayed itself for a certain time. That is known as a block states. So here if you can task needs something to happen before it can continue. So since this particular delay occurs, so it will hold that particular task and see that once that that particular requirement is fulfilled, then it will go to the ready state. So whatever the task need to happen, if it is complete, if it has received, then it will go to the ready state. Now running state, as here is this is the high priority ready task, and if it is processed, then it will request for the next case for the next high priority task to execute. So these are nothing but different state conditions with respect to the ready state and running state and the block state. So one thing you have to remember that in the block state, one conditions may occur, like a CPU starvations, because why that particular CPU starvation it occurs, there are possibility of that in the block state under the real-time situations, there may be a low priority state task will be there, that will not able to run, because high priority task, if it is needed a particular resource, it will try to snatch that particular resource, and or the operating system will give that priority to the highly high priority task activities, and when the high priority task activity is given the most preference, then the low priority task will be going for a starvation. That is what we have seen in the case of a blocked situations. Now another thing is the in the running state, if the several call has to make for here, based on the call, if you look for that, system may go to sleep mode if the if it does not get the sufficient task to performs. So that is the running state. So unlike the ready task or ready state, the running task sometime can move to the block state because of the unavailable resources, or there is a delay in receiving the task. So these are some of the things one has to keep it in the mind, that with respect to task scheduling. And here the kernel scheduler uses the priority for each task to determine that how the task can move to the ready state or to the running state for the efficient performance of the operating systems. Another area of our discussion is the scheduling algorithms of RTOS. When we talk about a task, basically it is a program of a computer by which it can able to execute and run, or a task is a scheduler. So here you try to see that when you talk about a scheduling algorithm, we have a clock driven, weighted round robin priority type of scheduling algorithm, cooperative scheduling algorithm, preemptive scheduling, and a rate monotonic scheduling algorithm. So like this one, there are various form of a scheduling algorithm that is being shown over here. So these scheduling algorithms is basically essentials for processing the systems, in whether it is in the offline mode or whether it is in online mode. So scheduling algorithm, we can see that it has been put as a static scheduling as well as dynamic scheduling. So what exactly the static scheduling and dynamic scheduling it means? Static scheduling means where everything is the scheduling is fixed, where or which is a clock driven. That is what it is being stated. Or here example is round robin. So round robin will be having a atomic clock. So based on that clock, this particular system will able to work. So that is what we put under the static scheduling. And here in this the offline scheduling algorithm, it try to select the task to be executed with respect to a predefined or a predetermined scheduling. That is very important, because that is what we terms with respect to the static scheduler. And when we talk about online scheduler, it is we termed it as a dynamic scheduler. And in this type of scheduler, there is a flexibility is there. So that's why we put under the class of a priority as well as the quality driven. So if it is a quality driven scheduling is there, so there may be a delay will be there. A priority scheduler will be there, then it will look for the preferences. So that's how in the real time systems, priority task is basically focused on the executions. So in the online scheduling systems, the flexibility on the and the quality or the when I say flexibility, it talks with respect to the whether it is a utilizations factor, because priority is if you look for the priority, if it is a static priority or dynamic priority, to see that how the system performance can able to improve, or the utilization factor of the task can be improved. And quality oriented is basically looking for the not on the utilization but on the performance. So that's how the scheduling algorithm try to define. And when you talk about here the rate monotonic, and here is the earlier deadline first. So in the case of a priority driven, so these type of algorithm will try to look across how the high priority or a low priority scheduling priority task conditions should be preferred in the case of a static or a dynamic situations. And in the dynamic priority, different jobs of a task is being carried as compared to the static priority conditions. So these are nothing but the main point with respect to the scheduling algorithm. Here one more important parameter is the process utilization factor we have to take into consider, because all the scheduling algorithm is defined or the performance is defined based on the process utilizations factor, about the process loads on a single processor. So that means how many process is being loading for a process to execute. So that is how we are defining the scheduling algorithm. So here we are going to stop with respect to the discussions of the RTOS. In the next segment we will be discussing about the further extension of this RTOS, so that we can know what exactly the semaphore and the mutex is going to play a role in the case of a RTOS. So with this I conclude here. Thank you.